Hi, Gloria Donahue back again with Nana's Cookery, and welcome to my kitchen. As I've mentioned before, I like some quick coffee cakes. My husband goes to bed earlier and I get a little feeling like I'd like to have something to eat. And when he gets up in the morning, he'll have a nice piece of coffee cake too. This one is a crumb coffee cake, which is a little different. It's very much like the Cinnamon cake, where half the cake or more is crumbs. And it starts off with melted butter for the crumbs, which is unusual. I do a lot of things with crumbs, and you usually do not mix the melt the butter. This is from the King Arthur Baking Cookbook, which is an excellent book. And when I take out this book, it almost invariably opens at this page, which means I use it a lot, this recipe. So I suggest when you go into someone's house who you're really interested in the recipes, take out one of their favorite books and sort of start to open the book, and the chances are it will open to a page of something that they really enjoy making. We're going to start with the crumb, and I melted 2 sticks or 8 ounces of unsalted butter. I then added a teaspoon of vanilla and 3/4 of a teaspoon of almond extract to that melted butter. Now in this bowl I have 2½ cups of flour, and I'm going to add 1¼ cups of sugar to it. Then I'm going to add 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon. Only that's not going to go in the cinnamon thing. There we go. And 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I'm going to mix this with a fork just to get the flour, the sugar, the cinnamon. You know, you can see this is going to make a tremendous amount of crumbs. We're going to mix that all in. And then I'm going to pour the melted butter into this mixture. And you'll see, it makes a very interesting crumb. Now I'm just kind of move it while I put it in. And then I'm going to have to stir it around. You'll see it's just a very interesting sort of a thing when it's done. And this is just the first part. We're going to mix these together. And it just won't look like any crumb you've ever seen. It's going to be very clumpy. Now you see I've got to incorporate everything. When you put something together like this, you have to make sure that you keep going until it's all incorporated. You don't want to overmix, but you do want to make sure that you get every part in there. And see, this is really, it's a very odd looking crumb, but trust me, I've made it a number of times and it's fine. This recipe is going to go into a greased 9x13 pan. I much more frequently only make half a recipe, and I put it in like a little 8-inch square or an 8-inch round pan and cook it. So you can easily cut this recipe in half. It's just that since we're here and the grandchildren are here, I decided, well, I'll make the full recipe. So you can see this is my crumbs. And I'm just going to put that to the side while I make the rest of the cake. Now I'm going to I have 1 stick of butter. Again, that's 4 ounces of unsalted butter. I have 1 cup of sugar, and I'm going to cream it. We've talked about this before. Your butter must be room temperature for it to cream well. And to cream, you'll see they're going to not only combine, they're going to have a creamy look to them. Because when it first combines, you think, okay, well, I put them together. But that's not really creaming it. You'll see what I mean in a minute. Now see, that's almost all together now, but that's not creamed. It'll be creamed if I let it go a little longer and a little faster. And then it'll really start to come together, and that's what they call creaming. Doesn't hurt to overcream when you're doing a cake or a cookie, when you're just doing the fat and the sugar. It's when you start to add the dry ingredients that you just want to do as little as necessary to finish it off. But you can see how it's changed. And that's creaming. I'll just let it go a few more seconds. And you know, it's a good thing if you can, while you're doing things and something's going along, clean up while you go along. It's kind of discouraging when you're cooking and you look around and you have see all these dirty things piling up, especially if you're doing a number of things at one time. So while something like this is going on, that's a good time to say, okay, I'll put this under the faucet or something, or I'll start stacking things just to get them out of the way, because really it's much easier to work when everything isn't so congested. We've got our sugar and our butter creamed. I'm going to add 2 eggs, one at a time. As I've always done before, I broke them separately. I want to make sure I don't have any shell in there. I never break them into a mixture. I always break them into a cup individually, then maybe put them together, and I'll put them in one by one. And you can see, just going to turn the mixer on. Just going to give that a chance to start coming together. And then I'll put the other one in. And again, that'll take a second, and while I'm doing that, I can start doing the rest. I have here 2 cups of flour. And to the 2 cups of flour, I'm going to add 1/2 teaspoon salt. Remember, as I've mentioned before, I don't use a flour sifter anymore. I haven't used one in years. But I do use a sieve. And what I do is make sure that it's big enough, the bowl is big enough underneath it, that it's going to take everything that's in there. I put in the ingredients, and then you'll see how I put it through. It only takes a second, and it does make sure that everything is mixed really well. So that was the salt, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, and a teaspoon of baking powder. What you should try to do is learn these equivalents. I'm sure you know that a teaspoon is 2 teaspoons, but you may not know that a tablespoon is 3 teaspoons. And if you're going to double something or cut it in half, you want to be able to bring these things to mind. You may not know them now, but you know a lot of things about the computer and phones. It's just a matter of learning. You know a lot more than I do about many other things. And I'm sure there's not a thing here that you couldn't learn to do. So now we're just going to put it through the sieve. And the way we do that is to just stir it through. I usually start that way. And then I just sort of bring it this way. And you'll see that goes through so quick. And that's my dry ingredients. Now in most cakes, what you do then, you combine the dry with your butter sugar mixture. And that's what we're going to do here. So we've got our eggs in there, we've got our sugar, we've got our butter, we've got our flour and our dry ingredients here. And then there's usually a wet ingredient. In many cases it's milk, maybe buttermilk. In this case it's sour cream. So I have a cup of sour cream. And what you do when you combine almost invariably in a cake is some dry, the wet. Some dry, the wet, ending with the dry. And I usually do it maybe, depending on how big it is, maybe 3 of those and 2 of these, 4 of those and 3 of these. Somehow you'll, so you get them in, and again, you only mix it as much as you need to when you get to that point. Let me make sure I've included everything here. It's always good to double check your recipe. I do have everything. Okay. Well, I didn't get the vanilla for the cake. I got it for the other, but not for the cake. Okay. So I want to put a teaspoon of vanilla in that cake. And I put that in so it will mix well with the fat. Now I just told a lie. Because in this recipe, I just noticed, I've made it many times, it says add all the sour cream first. Okay, that's not the usual way of doing it. But I'm a great recipe follower, I have to say. I'm not a huge thing, well, I don't care what they say, this is the way I'll do it. Because I want very much for it to turn out well. And most recipes I find do turn out well. We're just going to put that sour cream in. Now I'm going to do my ever popular. When I put in the flour, I always always put in some. Do the beater on and off. Otherwise, you're going to have flour all over. They do sell shields where you can put, I find it's a total waste of time. So this works fine for me. Just on and off, and then I'll add more. This can be eaten now. It'll be fine tomorrow morning. It'll actually last for a couple of days. And we'll just finish this off. Now again, I'm going to watch this closely. This isn't something that you walk away from. If you're creaming something, you can cream it, you can walk away, do a couple of other things and come back. But when you start adding the dry ingredients, you want to do it only as long as necessary to get it combined. So you don't want to walk away. You want to pay attention to what you're doing. Now I'll scrape this down maybe once. This is a great beater thing with the rubber on the side, but that still, every once in a while, you want that mixture to be all the same. So scrape it down, go underneath, because that's what you're going for. You're going for one consistent mixture through the whole thing, not something that's more liquid and more dry in parts, but something that's more the same through the whole thing. So we're just going to do this for there we go, and we're fine. I know you're not supposed to eat raw eggs. I have licked every cake batter I ever had and every cookie batter. But there are raw eggs in it, so if that's a concern, then you shouldn't do it. Okay, now we're just going to spread it in a greased 13 by 9 pan. And again, as I've talked before, don't put it all in one place. Do it in dibs and dabs all over and then bring them together. That's much easier than trying to spread something the length of that pan. A quick coffee cake is a wonderful thing to have for company in the morning. Someone says they're coming over, and believe me, if I made it in the smaller pan, obviously it would even take less time. But this goes together quickly, and somebody could come over and you could have a nice warm coffee cake when they get there, because the nice thing about this is you can really eat it as soon as it comes out of the oven. It'll be warm, but that's good. These good scrapers are perfect. This is from a cooking shop in Maine, in Ellsworth, and it's very sturdy. It does a very nice job, and you really need something like that to clean out your bowls to make sure you get everything. I very often use an offset spatula to do this because that's also very good, but honestly, I just did another cooking video 15 minutes ago and my spatula's in the wash. So I'm going to spread this out. Again, whenever you're doing any batter, any dough, you basically want it to be consistently the same height. You want to go into all the corners. Doesn't have to be perfect, you know, you're not going to measure it, etc., to the depth or anything, but you want to see by eye that, in fact, that's pretty level along there, because remember, it's all going to bake at the same time. Now we're going to take these crumbs, and it really is an odd mixture, because it doesn't even look like crumbs, because I'm going to have to break it up, because right now it's in kind of big piece. Look at that. And look at the amount of crumbs. Believe me, if you love crumbs, this is your cake. Because we're going to break this all up and we're just going to cover this dough with it. And as you can see, when it comes out, it's going to be full of crumbs. Just want to break this up. I think it's easier to do it here than over the cake. Okay, and now I'm just going to start spreading it all over. And always remember, when you do crumbs or anything on the top of a dough, always make sure you go into the corners. Because what happens is, as it bakes, as it rises, it tends to come inward. And if you don't take crumbs really way out to the end, there won't be any crumbs on that corner piece. So you want to be careful of that, not only with this cake, but with anything that has crumbs like that on it. This probably should be called crumbs with cake because, as you can see, it's just going to be thick with crumbs. And when it comes out, we dust it with 10x sugar, the confectioner sugar. And that's just by eye. I'm so tempted to eat some of these crumbs. It's really good to be on television. It keeps you with better habits. Oh, I'm not on television. I'm on camera, though. You're dealing with an old woman here. You have to make allowances. We're going to put this in a 350 oven. And let me check the time. It says it's going to be approximately 30 to 35 minutes. See, that's another good thing. That means really from the time you put it in the oven, you could serve it to company in about 40 minutes. So that's really good. Now I'm going to put it in right now, and I'll see you later.